Excuse me, sir. I would like to buy a car today.
You don't have the status to buy a car, not even a car tire. Security, get this beggar out of my showroom.
Sir, please stop. You have absolutely no idea who you are insulting and calling a beggar.
I don't care who this filthy old tramp is. Get him out of my sight right now before I call security.
He is the biggest billionaire businessman in the state, and he is here to buy a $1 million sports car in full cash.
It was 11 a.m. Arthur walked in the luxury dealership named Elite Prestige Motors, who wore a faded flannel shirt, frayed denim jeans, and heavy work boots caked in thick, dry mud. Arthur appeared to be nothing more than a poor, struggling farmhand who had taken a wrong turn off the highway. As Arthur pushed open the heavy glass doors of the dealership, a soft chime echoed through the silent showroom. The salesman, who had been chatting amiably near the reception desk, stopped mid-sentence and stared. Arthur seemed completely oblivious to the sudden drop in temperature. His bright, observant blue eyes were fixed entirely on the center of the room, where a breathtaking cherry-red sports car sat under a ring of bright LED lights. It was the latest, most aggressive model, boasting a massive engine and a price tag that made most people dizzy. Arthur slowly walked toward it, his heavy mud-caked boots leaving a faint trail of dust on the immaculate white marble floor. He stopped a few feet away, admiring the aerodynamic curves of the vehicle with a gentle, almost affectionate smile. He was thinking of his daughter, Emily, who was graduating from law school at the top of her class next week. He had promised her something special, something that would make her feel like she had conquered the world. From the elevated manager's office overlooking the showroom floor, Richard had been watching the entire scene unfold, and his blood was beginning to boil. Richard was the general manager of Elite Prestige Motors, a man whose entire identity was built on exclusivity, wealth, and appearances. He wore a sharply tailored charcoal gray suit, a silk tie, and a solid gold Rolex that he made sure everyone noticed. To Richard, a person's worth was calculated solely by the brand of their clothes and the limit on their credit card. Seeing a dusty, dirt-covered old man standing inches away from his prized inventory felt like a personal insult. He stormed out of his office. He didn't see a father looking for a gift. He only saw a filthy vagrant ruining the aesthetic of his high-end establishment. As Arthur gently reached out a calloused finger to trace the smooth line of the red car's side mirror, a sharp, booming voice echoed across the quiet room. "Excuse me, just what exactly do you think you are doing?" Richard snapped, closing the distance between them. Arthur pulled his hand back slowly and turned around, offering a polite, easygoing smile. "Good morning to you, sir," Arthur replied. "I'm looking to buy a graduation present for my little girl, and this red one seems like it might just do the trick." Richard let out a harsh, mocking laugh that was loud enough for the other salesman to hear. He looked Arthur up and down, his eyes lingering on the mud falling from Arthur's boots onto the pristine floor. "Buy it? Are you out of your mind, old man?" Richard sneered, stepping uncomfortably close. "Do you have any idea where you are? This is not a used car lot on the edge of town. This vehicle costs over $200,000. That is more money than you will see in your entire lifetime. You are dragging dirt all over my imported Italian marble, and you are scaring away my actual paying clients." Arthur's smile faded slightly, but he maintained his composure. "Now, hold on a minute, son. There's no need to be disrespectful. I just asked about the car. I didn't mean any harm." Richard's face flushed with anger at being called son by someone he viewed as a peasant. "I am not your son," Richard spat venomously. "And I don't care what you meant. People like you don't belong in a place like this. You want a car? Go down to the junkyard 3 blocks from here and find yourself a rusty bucket that matches your clothes. Now, turn around and walk out those doors before I call security and have you thrown out for trespassing." Arthur stood his ground for a moment, his blue eyes studying the arrogant manager with a mixture of pity and disappointment. The entire showroom was watching them. Arthur let out a slow, measured sigh, tipping the brim of his dusty Stetson hat down just a fraction. He did not yell, he did not curse, and he certainly did not make a scene. He simply nodded. "Well, all right then," Arthur said softly. "I suppose I can take my business elsewhere. Have a blessed day." He turned his back on the sneering manager and began the long, slow walk toward the heavy glass exit doors. Richard smirked, feeling a surge of arrogant victory, and adjusted the cuffs of his expensive suit before turning back to his office, satisfied that he had protected the elite image of his dealership. A young man had been watching the entire exchange with a growing sense of discomfort and shame. His name was Leo. He was 22 years old, a recent college graduate drowning in suffocating student loan debt, working 70 hours a week just to keep his head above water and help pay for his mother's mounting medical bills. Unlike the seasoned, predatory salesman who stalked the floor looking for high-net-worth individuals, Leo was still new. He had not yet lost his humanity to the cutthroat culture of luxury commissions. Seeing the way Richard had humiliated the old man simply for wearing work clothes struck a deep nerve in Leo. It reminded him of his own grandfather, a man who had worked with his hands his entire life and deserved nothing but respect. Acting on pure instinct and defying the unspoken rules of the dealership, Leo abandoned his post and jogged across the showroom floor, intercepting Arthur just as the old man pushed open the heavy glass door to leave. "Sir, please wait a moment," Leo called out, his voice slightly breathless but completely sincere. Arthur paused, holding the door open, and looked back at the young salesman with a cautious expression. Leo quickly closed the distance, extending a hand with a warm, genuine smile. "I am so incredibly sorry for how you were just treated. That was completely unacceptable, and it does not represent how everyone here feels. My name is Leo. Please come back inside. Let me get you a cup of coffee or a cold water." Arthur looked at the young man's outstretched hand, then down at his own calloused, dirt-stained fingers. He hesitated for a second before grasping Leo's hand in a firm, calloused handshake. "Thank you, Leo. I'm Arthur. A cup of black coffee sounds mighty fine right about now." Leo guided Arthur away from the glaring eyes of the other salesman and led him to a plush leather seating area tucked away in a quiet corner of the dealership. He quickly brought back a steaming cup of premium dark roast coffee, presenting it to Arthur as if he were serving a visiting dignitary. As Arthur took a slow sip, savoring the rich flavor, he looked at Leo with genuine curiosity. "Why are you being so kind to me, son? Your boss made it pretty clear I don't belong in a place like this." Leo sat down in the chair opposite him, leaning forward earnestly. "My parents taught me that you never judge a book by its cover. I know what it's like to work hard, and I can tell by looking at your hands that you've worked harder than anyone else in this building. It costs absolutely nothing to be decent to people." Arthur's eyes crinkled at the corners, a genuine smile breaking through his weathered features. He took another sip of his coffee and leaned back into the luxurious leather sofa. "You are a good kid, Leo. Now, about that red sports car out there. My daughter Emily is graduating from law school next week, top of her class. I want to give her something that shows her how proud her old man is. I know your boss thinks I can't afford a hubcap on that thing, but I'd sure appreciate it if you could tell me a little bit about it." Leo didn't miss a beat. He didn't ask for a credit check. He didn't look for proof of income, and he didn't condescend. He simply nodded enthusiastically, pulled out a glossy brochure, and spent the next 45 minutes giving Arthur the absolute premium VIP experience. He explained the horsepower of the twin-turbo engine, the hand-stitched leather interior, the advanced aerodynamics, and the customized sound system. He walked Arthur around the vehicle, opening the doors, popping the hood, and treating him with the utmost reverence. He answered every question patiently, completely ignoring the smirks and whispers from the other salesmen who thought Leo was wasting his time with a penniless drifter. They thought Leo was throwing away his afternoon. Leo thought he was simply doing the right thing. After inspecting every inch of the magnificent vehicle, Arthur stood near the front bumper, gently patting the gleaming red hood. He looked thoughtfully at the car, then turned his gaze back to Leo, who was standing respectfully nearby holding the brochure. "Well, Leo," Arthur said slowly, his voice dropping to a quiet, serious tone. "You've sold me on it. It's a beautiful machine, and Emily is going to absolutely love it. But as I was looking at it, I started thinking about my wife. We've been married for 40 years, and she's put up with a lot of my nonsense. It wouldn't be fair to bring this beauty home for the kid and leave her empty-handed, now would it? Do you happen to have this exact same model, fully loaded in a sapphire blue?" Leo froze, his eyes widening in disbelief as Arthur's words slowly registered in his mind. He blinked a few times, trying to process if he had heard the old man correctly. Did he just say he wanted to buy not one, but two of the most expensive sports cars on the showroom floor? Leo quickly regained his composure, suppressing his shock and nodding politely. He pulled out his tablet, his fingers trembling slightly as he scrolled through the dealership's live inventory. "Sir, let me check that for you right now," Leo stammered softly, praying that the dealership had the exact specifications Arthur wanted. After a few seconds of loading screens, Leo's face lit up with a massive smile. "Yes, Mr. Arthur," he beamed, turning the tablet around to show a pristine, exactly like the red one. "It is available for immediate delivery." Arthur chuckled, slapping his thigh. "That is perfect. My wife is going to lose her mind when she sees that parked in the driveway. Wrap them both up for me, Leo. I'll take them today." The words hung in the air like magic. 2 cars, over $500,000 in total. Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. He had never sold a car like this. "Of course, sir," Leo said, trying to keep his voice steady as he led Arthur toward the glass-walled finance office. "We will need to run a quick credit check and get some paperwork started." Arthur shook his head slowly, reaching a calloused, dirt-stained hand into the front pocket of his faded flannel shirt. "Oh, we won't be needing any credit checks today, son," he said casually. "I don't much care for financing." As they walked into the finance office, Arthur pulled out a sleek, heavy, matte black piece of metal and placed it gently. It was an American Express Centurion card, widely known as the Black Card. It was an invitation-only card reserved strictly for billionaires carrying no credit limit whatsoever. Leo stared at the heavy metal card, completely speechless, recognizing the exclusive insignia instantly. Before Leo could even touch the card, the glass door to the office flew open, hitting the wall with a loud thud. Richard stood in the doorway, his face purple with absolute rage. He had seen Leo walking the old man to the finance office from his balcony and had rushed down to intervene. "Leo, what in the world do you think you are doing?" Richard barked, storming into the room and glaring at Arthur. "I specifically told you. You are wasting company time printing out paperwork for a man who couldn't even afford the air in the tires of those cars." Richard slammed his hand on the desk, not yet noticing the black card resting next to the keyboard. "Get out of my dealership right now, old man, or I am calling the police." Leo jumped up, his face flushed with protective anger. "Richard, stop! Mr. Arthur is buying both the red and the blue sports cars. He is paying in full." Richard stopped dead in his tracks, a mocking laugh bursting from his lips. "Paying in full? With what? Monopoly money?" Richard finally looked down at the desk, his eyes landing on the heavy matte black metal card. The laughter instantly died in his throat. The color drained from his face so fast, he looked as though he might faint. Leo picked up the black card and swiped it through the terminal. He typed in the total amount, surpassing $500,000. The machine beeped once, communicating with the bank, and within 3 seconds, a long receipt began to print. The transaction was approved instantly. The computer screen flashed the client's verified profile. Arthur Sterling, CEO of Sterling Enterprises, owner of the largest cattle ranches and private oil fields in the entire state of Texas. Richard began to physically tremble. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. He looked at the muddy boots, the faded flannel, and then at the $500,000 receipt printing effortlessly. "Mr. Sterling, Richard finally choked out, his voice a pathetic, high-pitched squeak. "Sir, I had absolutely no idea who you were. Please accept my deepest apologies. Let me take over this transaction personally. I will give you our Platinum VIP discount, and I will personally deliver these vehicles to your estate." Arthur slowly picked up his black card, sliding it back into his shirt pocket. He looked at Richard with eyes as cold and hard as steel. "You didn't know who I was, Richard. And that is exactly the point," Arthur said, his voice dropping to a low, commanding growl. "You saw a pair of dirty boots and decided I wasn't worth basic human decency. You don't get to apologize just because you found out I have money. You don't get to treat people like trash and then beg for their business when you see their bank account." Arthur turned to Leo, a warm smile returning to his face. "Leo here treated me like a human being when I looked like a broke farmer. He earned every single penny of this commission. I want it in writing that this boy gets the full cut for both cars, or I will cancel the transaction." Richard nodded frantically, completely humiliated. Leo stood there, realizing he had just made a $50,000 commission. It was enough to wipe out his student loans completely and pay for his mother's medical bills. Arthur placed a heavy hand on Leo's shoulder, giving it an affectionate squeeze. "Keep being a good man, Leo," Arthur said softly. "And as for you, Richard, let this be a $500,000 lesson. Expensive suits don't make you a rich man, and dirty hands don't make you a poor one. The true measure of a man's wealth is how he treats those he thinks can do nothing for him."